What's up guys, Elliot here with my reaction to the 2022 Mercedes W13. When I first saw the car reveal, I was a little underwhelmed with the W13. It seems relatively conservative when compared to cars like the Ferrari and the Aston Martin. But the more I've looked at the car, the more impressed I've become with the Mercedes. It's got some interesting design choices on the car, and in this video we're going to take a look at them. But before we get into the technical analysis, let's take a look at the livery. I'm going to critique the livery on the renders as those images are clearer, but of course I'll do the tech analysis on the real car because they're very different. The renders look heavily stylized. The front wing looks like somebody's gone into Photoshop and warped the wing. It looks crazy. I'm not even sure if it's legal, to be honest. Now, I'm not sure what silver they've used. On the physical car it seems a bit lighter than in the past. On this render it does look more metallic. I don't know if it's just because I've got used to the black and the silver will take getting used to again. I like the solid colour swoop of the Petronas teal. That's a very Mercedes thing now. There's some nice spacing of the logos on the side. The stars on the engine cover look weird to me. I think they're a bit too big and means there aren't enough of them. I much preferred the smaller stars we saw on the 2020 W11 car, and it doesn't look as good with the Team Viewer logo on top either. I really like the Ineos red on the rear wing. That looks awesome. It's super bold. I also think the AMG logo on the wheel covers look really nice too. I think all the teams should put something on there. I'd give the livery a 7 out of 10. It's decent but could be easily improved with a few tweaks like the stars on the engine cover. But what do you think of the new Mercedes livery? Let me know what you'd give it out of 10 in the comments below. And if you're enjoying the video so far, then please consider dropping a like and subscribe for more F1 car launch reactions. Let's take a look at the key technical talking points. Before I dive into the specifics of the W13, I just want to pull up this comparison with the McLaren. Now this is the Mercedes render, so it needs to be taken with a pinch of salt, but look at how much further back these side pods are when compared to the McLaren. There's a completely different approach, and I'm really enjoying seeing different cars on the grid this year. Unfortunately, in a few years' time, they're all likely to converge on what ends up being the best concept, so we really have to enjoy this period while it lasts. So interestingly, along with Ferrari, Mercedes have gone for the approach of all four wing elements attaching to the nose. The nose tapers down, but the Ferrari tapered down to a real point, whereas the Mercedes is much more round. And there's a slight curvature on the nose, much like the Williams, but not quite as extreme. The wing is mid-loaded and really backs off towards the centre line, where it meets the nose. This is to get as much airflow to the key downforce producer on the car, which is the floor venturi tunnels. The wing also backs off at the outer edges with the aim of producing as much outwash as possible. Something of note is actually how much more angled the transition is between the wing flaps and the end plate, which should give them better vortices off the wing. Something else that caught my eye was the tyre temperature sensor. It's been placed here for one of two reasons. One, it's producing an aerodynamic gain, perhaps allowing them to control the airflow more to their liking, or two, it's just a neat out-of-the-way area to place it. In terms of the suspension, they've gone for the conventional push rod and at the rear pull rod, although the front suspension is nicely packaged. Merc have got an interesting design at the floor entrance. They've been able to use one of the four allowed strakes to fence off a higher entrance to the floor. The outer element is also not all the way up to the legality bound either. Onto the side pods. Similar to what we've seen on other cars, got a square inlet with an angled section on either outer portion to act as a sort of barge board. Where they've been really clever and a little bit cheeky is they've used the mirror stalk to increase the height of this and thus increase its effectiveness. Surprisingly, the side pods are really similar in concept to what they've done in years gone by. I wonder if they're sticking with a concept that they know well. You can see the side pods are tiny. A lot of work has gone into packaging this Mercedes. It's very similar in concept to the cars Merc have been running for years. The bodywork sweeps down with the aim of creating downwash, running into the coke bottle region to get airflow to the rear diffuser, increasing performance. You can see the bodywork around the engine is not as shrink wrapped as we've seen on last year's car or even the Aston this year. And if we zoom into the floor, you can see they're showing lots of detail already. We've got these expanding oscillations towards the front of the floor with the aim of creating vortices to either help seal the floor off or even pull air out, improving the floor's efficiency. It's hard to tell at the minute. And then there are a number of bulges and kicks in the upper surface too, and this is potentially reflected on the lower surface too, although that is not stipulated by the rules. And they've even managed to sneak a turning vane in front of the rear tyres, which is a surprise as I thought the rules were written in such a way that we wouldn't see them again. And then if we move on up to the rear wing, there's an unusual W shape with more of a turn up in the leading edge. It seems odd to me as I would expect this to cause more air to spill over the edges. It'll be interesting to see how this develops and if they run this in the test and the first race. So my final thoughts are, this looks like a really neat package from Mercedes. It seems well thought out and well conceptualised. It'll be interesting to see if Mercedes are in the title fight this season. If you haven't already, go check out my reaction to the Ferrari F175. There's a lot of really interesting design choices on the Ferrari. And have you seen those side pods? Click on the link in the top right to check it out. Next car launch is Alpine, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.